and I'm sure folks will start trickling in as we continue along, but let's maybe kick things off.
Sounds great. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Amanuelia. I am with SAP, and I'm the channel sales manager for all of Canada for our Business One portfolio. So I have been collectively with SAP for about 14 years and been within the ERP space for about 17, 18 years. So nice to be here today. So the purpose for us here, the topic for our webinar today will be how to choose the right cloud ERP for your business. And I do have two speakers with us as well that I'd like to introduce. So I will start off with Neil Johnny. And Neil is with Claros, and he's the sales director there. And Claros is our SAP Business One Platinum partner. So Neil's been in the ERP industry for the past 16 years. He's worked with Claros for representing Business One for about 10 years. And prior to that, he did work at Oracle and did as well, and moved over from also a niche ERP solution that was acquired by Epicor. And then as well, we do have Daniel Mittman here with us, and he is the partner manager at Cloudiax. And Cloudiax is our premier SAP Business One hosting provider. So Daniel comes, he's been with Cloudiax for about 3.5 years now. And prior to that, he had worked in different roles in international companies, including Siemens and HSBC, during his studies as an industrial engineer, mostly with the software focus. So with that, I am going to hand things over to Neil Johnny from Claros. So Neil, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that intro, Aman. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today for this webinar. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us, which we understand could be your most scarce resource. We have truly seen a massive shift in companies turning to cloud-based ERPs to manage their critical business applications. So we feel this is such a prevalent topic in our market space today. As a quick overview of our organizations before we begin, Claros is a professional services company that sells, implements, and supports SAP Business One. This year actually marks our 20th year in business, serving exclusively small to medium-sized enterprises in Canada and the USA. Cloudiax is an international managed service provider offering expert SAP Business One cloud hosting with data centers in Germany, Toronto, Canada, and Singapore. Cloudiax is the world leader for SAP Business One hosting in the cloud and was the first in this business. Just a little bit of history for you on Business One. It was launched in North America back in 2003 as a fully integrated ERP solution designed specifically for small businesses and was originally deployed on the SQL Server landscape for on-premise deployments. Over the past 2 decades, SAP Business One has certainly gone through its growing pains, but it has truly been cemented as a world-class ERP with extremely deep functional capabilities that serves many different industries and verticals alike. Moreover, thanks to SAP's continuous investment into the SAP B1 platform and the SAP HANA architecture, it has evolved greatly, deepening its functional richness, allowing it to scale upwards in the market to meet the needs of both small and medium-sized enterprises. And it has also evolved into a cloud-based solution. Whether you're an existing SAP Business One customer, currently deployed on-premise, or new to the SAP Business One platform altogether, we hope that you find today's webinar informative and valuable. However, before we kind of get any further on the topic of SAP Business One, it is important for us to take a step back to truly understand, what does cloud even mean? What are the different types of cloud offerings that are available? What are the benefits and potential drawbacks of cloud-based ERPs? And finally, what should you take into consideration when choosing the right cloud ERP for your business? I would like to now pass the stage over to Daniel Mittman to shed further insight on these topics.
First of all, also warmly welcome from Germany. and good afternoon from the other side of the Atlantic. Could we please get slide number 6? So the important question is, we heard a lot about cloud, and we want to understand more about this issue and more about this topic. 2 slides more, please, or 3. Thank you. So cloud. Is infrastructure really so complicated? We hear a lot of terms when it comes to cloud. We heard already on-premise, we heard cloud, some have heard about hyperscalers, then some people speak about private versus public cloud, but what is it? And as not maybe everybody's used to all the specific terms about cloud, we want to go to an easy analogy because everybody likes pizza. And we would like to speak about pizza in the next few minutes, just to give you a better understanding about the things, the underlying architecture behind cloud systems. Please let us take a look at the next slide. Pizza as a service. So all of us love pizza. Eating pizza is really easy. It's so easy that even small children can do it. But each one of us who ever tried to make a pizza on his own knows that it can be a bit more complicated than simply getting the first bite of your pizza. So we have different approaches when it comes to pizza. You can make it completely at home. You can go to the supermarket, take prepared pizza dough, sauce, toppings, and cheese, or you can call a pizza delivery, or you go out dining. All of these different types are well known, and maybe for your evening you have planned to do one of these 4 things. But let us use this analogy when it comes to software. So on the one hand, we have so-called on-prem environments. Let us say it like this: you take care about everything. You take care about making the dough, making the sauce, or getting these topics, cheese. And also in addition to that, you also take care about the gas for the oven itself, and also the fire to heat up the oven. Same is for drinking tables and dining table and drinks. Then we switch over where you get where you have a provider who gives you who helps you with your basic needs. So pizza dough and so on. We can compare this to infrastructure as a service. So basic things are already there, but nevertheless, you need to bring in a big part of the business of the game on your own. So infrastructure as a service would be: you go to the supermarket, take the necessary prepared stuff from the supermarket and bake it on your own. You do not need to think about where can I get the dough, where can I get tomatoes, and so on. You just need to think about how can I use my kitchen. But before, you also need to take care about getting a kitchen. And then we would like to step one further, and it's just a call away, where we come to pizza delivery, which we can compare to platform as a service. You just need to think about, okay, which type of dining table do I require? Do I want to eat in the kitchen, in the living room, wherever? And what would I like to drink? And then we come out to the last piece of the last piece of our comparison and analogy: dining out. So we see that then you would get everything prepared by a restaurant. We see 2 things. So first of all, from the left side to the right side on our diagram, you get less headache, because you do not need to think about how can I get this, and that. But on the other side also, your possibilities to decide on your own get a bit more narrow. Let us take an easy example. You go out dining for a pizza this evening, and you're a fan of Coca-Cola, but you're in a restaurant which only serves Pepsi-Cola. So we see that this is not only a full advantage. Let us go, after we have taken this real life example, back to the technical stuff. On the next slide, please. So what does cloud really mean? So first of all, cloud is very easy. You have to travel to touch your servers. So you do not have a server under your desk anymore. This can get you rid of a lot of decisions or tasks. For example, where can I get the servers? You know, we're facing some supply chain crisis the last years. And if you're using a cloud provider, you do not need to think, where can I get the hardware? The cloud provider has to get the hardware. they sell to you. But what types of clouds are there? So we have different types of clouds, like we know hyperscalers, so big data center providers like AWS, Amazon, AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Huawei Cloud, and other providers which are there in the market. Then we have managed service providers like Cloudiax is one, but also software as a service providers. And you are right now in contact with software as a service as a user of Teams. Then afterwards, we would like to know a bit more as a quick excursus, what is the difference between private and public cloud? So private versus public cloud, let us think about, or going back to our pizza analogy. So maybe you have been in a store or in a regular restaurant where you sit at the table and you decide which pizza do you want to have. Do you like pepperonis on my pizza, or regular salami, or ham? You decide. But you know, some restaurants also serve big pizzas and they only serve you a slice of the pizza where you have to choose. If you're lucky enough, pepperoni is there if you like it. If you're not lucky enough, there's only salami or ham. So the same issue we have with public versus private cloud approaches. So on the one side, we have big shared pizzas where you can get a slice of. This is only standard. This can be compared to public cloud. There are several tools used to manage these systems for SAP Business One, for example, Cloud Control Center. But nevertheless, this can lead to some restrictions. For example, there's only salami, no pepperoni. Or on the other hand, private cloud deployments with nearly no restrictions, where you can just tell the waiter, hey, I want to have pepperoni and salami on my pizza. So you do not have to fit the same narrow standard. But after this quick excursus, we would like to speak a bit more about the difference between a hyperscaler, managed service, software as a service on the next slide, please. So what is the difference? So a hyperscaler is, let us say, a server which is far away. And a server which is far away is a server you can access remotely, but on the end of the day, you need to do all the configurations on your own, or you need to get a person who's able, or a service provider who's able to do the configurations. Also, a hyperscaler just guarantees you, is the server on? So green light, good, or off, red light, not so bad. But as all of us are users of know how software business works, we are all sure that using software, operating software, is much more than is it on or off. Is it working is a much more complicated question. And there we come to managed service providers, because managed service providers like Cloudiax One are able not only to guarantee you that the servers are up and running. For us, this is a fundamental question where we even do not think about, but they are able to guarantee you that the platform or that the software you want to run there is up and running. And this is also our approach. So the managed service approach is that you get the flexibility of both parties, or of both sides in there. On the one side, you do not need to fit a narrow standard like with software as a service provider like Zoom is one, where you cannot add any functionalities based on your needs, but you have to use the standard product if you are okay with all functions or not, or if you would like to have additional functions, then you can't add there some. But managed service gives you, in combination with a provider like Aclaros, the chance to get a stable infrastructure on the one side, or let us say a very good tasting pizza, and also the dining table you want and the beverages you really need and you really want, provided by Aclaros as a software provider. So we have there the best of all worlds combined when you bring in a managed service provider with a very well experienced partner like Aclaros. So the combination of Aclaros and Cloudiax is there a very good chance. So but let us after we have spoken about this fully managed cloud environment, let us come back to our initial question on the next slide. So next slide, please. So is infrastructure really so complicated? And let's see the answer on the next slide. With the right provider, it can be as easy as getting a pizza. And this is the service we want to provide you. And let me just show you some of the advantages and the specific values when you go with Cloudiax and Aclaros. Next part of the slide, please. Thank you. So as Neil said, we are the global market leader in SAP Business One. We have more than or nearly a decade of cloud experience. For us, it's no issue if you want to operate your Business One on a HANA platform or on an SQL platform. We follow a strictly private cloud only approach because we see on the one hand that private cloud systems are more stable and in addition to that give you more flexibility. We do our approach not compared to the hyperscalers where you simply buy a machine and then if the machine fits your needs, you're lucky. If not, you need to try to argue how to scale it up. No, we do we manage our users based on a user-based pricing. So we cover everything inside SAP Business One there. But we take care that as part of our fully managed service, that your systems are up and running and all of this is and the whole infrastructure will be put into one predictable bill. So when it comes to specialities, maybe for example, let us go back to the dining table in the restaurant, or to the dining table itself. Some people say, I would like to have a specific form of cups, or I would like to have some specific design there. So together with Aclaros and our standard and advanced service options, we are able to fulfill nearly every need of your company and also to give you the flexibility your processes require there. So you can focus on what is really important for you. And this is not operating an ERP system. This is using an ERP system to produce your products, to provide your services to your clients, to make your business really successful. We support you there with a clear service strategy by being predictable, transparent, and easily scalable. A new employee joins tomorrow, no worries, just tell Aclaros and we will provide, and they will provide you via us a new user. No issues, daily business for us. Why can we do this? Because we have a fantastic 24/7 team, which is able to serve you in German and English, and also is used to work in different time zones, different branches, different cultures, as we're currently serving clients all over the world, from very small installations up to installations with more than 300 users, from more common branches to less common branches. And by the way, we also take care about an issue which is maybe often forgotten in the first time, but it's really important. We take care that your systems are adequately backupped. But not only backups are a big advantage. Next part of the slide, please. You know, Cloudiax is a German company. We ourselves are fully virtual. So I myself am located about 4 hours drive away from most of my colleagues and also from our data center in northern Germany. We ourselves are security, our name stands for high security and data safety. So we are GDPR regulated and our cloud is cloud made in Germany. We take care about disaster recovery and also backup. So you do not need to think about what would happen if a data center starts to burn. We take care about this issue. By the way, we ourselves have been undergoing an SOC 1 and 2 certification, or which is equivalent to this, and also we only work together with ISO 27001 certified data centers. In addition to the data center we have in Canada at an Equinix site near Toronto, we also have data centers in Germany and also upcoming in Singapore. What is the unique advantage? We guarantee you a seamless login to your system and optimal performance instead of just an available server. So much more than just turn the lights on. Is the light green or red? But after logging into SAP Business One, a lot of other stuff comes up where you can really accelerate your business value. And this is where I want to hand over to Neil to tell you more about SAP Business One and the chances for your business.
Thank you. Aman, next slide, please. Thanks, Daniel. I think that analogy was definitely helpful and certainly relatable. If anyone does have any questions for Daniel, please feel free to type them into the chat function while it's still fresh in your minds. We will reserve time at the end of this session for some Q&A. So as per Daniel, I'd like to now shift our focus back onto SAP Business One. As some of you may be aware, B1 is a world-class ERP that offers a digital core set of modules that are available out of the box and is among the most extendable solutions in its class. SAP Business One has the ability to extend beyond this digital core using certified add-on modules or by seamlessly integrating to third-party applications using its embedded middleware platform that delivers a best-of-breed environment, none of which is limited by the cloud when hosted in Cloudiax. SAP Business One truly offers the most flexible cloud ERP solution in the market, with options to deploy B1 in the cloud as a private hosted cloud, in a third-party cloud like Microsoft Azure or hyperscalers, or as an on-premise deployment. SAP Business One offers incredible flexibility without any of the limitations that comes along with a traditional public cloud offering, as Daniel spoke about. Furthermore, SAP Business One gives you the freedom of choice when it comes to how you purchase the software. One of the options is to purchase your licenses using the subscription-based pricing model, where you lease the licenses on an annual basis, reducing your initial cost of investment and treating your investment as an operating expense. Alternatively, you also have the option to pay for your licenses using the perpetual license model, whereby you purchase the licenses outright and you pay an annual maintenance fee to stay current with the most recent releases, receive bug fixes, get regulatory updates, and other system enhancements. With this pricing model, you pay a higher upfront fee, but your annual recurring costs decrease significantly, and your initial investment can be treated as a capital expenditure. Both of these options are available to you when hosted in Cloudiax. Next slide, please. By deploying SAP Business One in a private hosted cloud as a fully managed service via Cloudiax, you get all of the flexibility and benefits of an on-premise environment without having to purchase and maintain any of the required servers and infrastructure, or be responsible for the upkeep of those systems, resources, capacity, etc. Moreover, since a private cloud is essentially an isolated container for each customer installation, you have very little to no limitations when it comes to leveraging add-on modules or integrations with third-party solutions. Conversely, in public cloud environments, you are often restricted by which add-ons are compatible or certified to work within the constraints of the provider, because they are unable to open up specific ports, or it introduces a level of risk to the multi-tenancy that simply isn't acceptable. Additionally, integrations to third-party solutions in a public cloud are also a more complicated project to execute. Other vendors tend to rely on third-party connectors, which have been built by a partner in their ecosystem to connect two solutions together. This sometimes creates three connection points that are often managed by three separate entities to execute that integration project. When one solution is upgraded, the others need to follow suit and often cannot act as swiftly as the ERP publisher themselves. And this creates a delay in execution. This may also result in rework of the integration paths, or even a lot of finger pointing when something goes wrong. With SAP Business One, this dynamic simply doesn't exist. B1's integration framework is the middleware that enables integrations to third-party solutions, and it is embedded into the core product. And this is what we use for integrations. Therefore, you do not need any third-party connectors for Business One. Other key differentiators when hosting with Cloudiax private cloud versus a traditional public cloud includes no capacity or resource limitations. For example, storage limits or API calls in a given period of time. In public clouds, there are often thresholds or on storage capacity and an incremental charge for each additional gigabyte of storage required, for example. These vendors also limit the amount of API calls that can be made per hour or per day for integrations between the systems in order to maintain their SLAs. Cloudiax charges a standard hosting fee per user with various tiers based on user volumes and proactively monitors the resource utilization of each customer, adjusting it up or down as necessary based on their requirements to ensure optimal performance for the customer. Another key difference is that Cloudiax Standard Services provides one production database and one sandbox or test database with each customer installation. Most public clouds offerings only provide a production database, and a test environment or a sandbox environment typically incurs an additional cost, which can be quite substantial over the long term. It is incredibly important for you to understand that a test environment is critical for you to have longer term for onboarding new employees, training, testing new system functionalities, or for the upgrade process itself. And third, having the ability to choose when you want to upgrade to the newest release, when you have the resource cycles in-house available to do the appropriate testing, is another luxury that you get when hosting with Cloudiax, compared to being forced to upgrade based on the arbitrary upgrade schedule of the software publisher in many public clouds. These are all key benefits of hosting within a fully managed private cloud environment. However, it is very important for us to set realistic expectations with all of our customers and prospects alike. And there are a couple of critical aspects that one must be aware of when considering making the shift to cloud. The first is the potential for downtime. The most probable cause for such an event is internet connectivity or ISP related issues. If you are in a remote area where your internet connection is not stable or your internet line is easily cut, a shift to cloud will be a difficult task. If your business cannot continue to operate without direct live access to your ERP systems throughout the entirety of the working day, then cloud may not be the right fit for you. Second, the annual cost for a fully managed cloud can appear to be far more costly, but comparing apples to apples is critical. Understanding that owning your hardware will always be more cost effective when analyzing the costs over 5 years plus, but making sure you consider all of the indirect costs that are associated with an on-premise deployment is super relevant. For example, it's not just the cost of the servers and installation, but the ongoing cost of maintaining those systems, often by a third-party resource, which has a salary attached to it, having an effective backup strategy, system health management, disaster recovery, upgrades in hardware or OS components, etc. The speed at which today's hardware is evolving so rapidly that sometimes your current hardware becomes obsolete in just as little as 3, 4, or 5+ years. So really having a fully managed cloud from a provider who are experts in infrastructure as well as SAP Business One is very difficult to match. Next slide. Aclaro specializes in working with companies in the wholesale distribution, manufacturing, professional services, and retail-oriented industries. Whether the digital core of SAP Business One meets your needs, or you need strategic add-on modules or require additional solutions like SAP Customer Checkout, which is SAP's proprietary POS solution, e-commerce solutions, mobile warehouse scanning, SAP Concur, or integrations to leading third-party applications like Salesforce.com, ShipStation, SolidWorks, Tableau, or others. Aclaro and Cloudiax have a proven track record, the experience and expertise, and many customer references to share to ensure your needs are accurately met and that you are successful in your digital transformation into the cloud. Next slide. There is no question that if you are looking for a world-class ERP, or you are an existing SAP Business One customer looking to focus on your core competencies and remove the responsibilities associated with maintaining the IT infrastructure of an on-premise deployment and want to take the leap into the cloud, SAP Business One provides a platform for growth that is extremely scalable and one you will not outgrow. The flexibility to be deployed in the cloud and the ability to change course in the future if ever necessary. A simple way to access SAP Business One via browser access or an RDP app. Different pricing models to address your specific investment strategies. A depth and functionality for the SME space that is unrivaled. The ease of managing integrations to third-party applications. And finally, a methodology of continuous improvement, leveraging the latest technologies to continually enhance the product and find new ways of solving customer issues. Then look no further. SAP Business One must be considered for your digital transformation. Next slide, please. As a special offer for everyone who's registered and attended today's webinar, we would like to show our appreciation for those folks. And Aclaros and Cloudiax are extending a 2-week free trial of SAP Business One hosted via Cloudiax to each of you, so that you can take a no obligation test flight and really get a hands-on feel for the environment. You will be receiving an email following this webinar asking you if this is something that you'd want to take advantage of. Please respond accordingly, and we'll get those credentials over to you as soon as possible. And lastly, as an added incentive, any company that has registered for today's webinar and chooses to purchase SAP Business One hosted via Cloudiax before the end of this year, December 31st, 2023, will qualify for an additional promotional discount on their first quarter's hosting fees. Looks like we have a little bit of extra time as well, which we were hoping for. So what I'd like to do is pass it back over to Daniel Mittman before we wrap things up into the Q&A session. And Daniel's actually going to show us a live demo, just in terms of giving you a sense of how the Cloudiax, how B1 looks within Cloudiax.
Thank you very much, Neil, also for the broad introduction and highlighting the special offer we have been working together on. Aman, would you kindly stop sharing your screen so I can start sharing mine? Okay, thank you very much. I would like to show you something which is very common, and this is Google Chrome. So we have different ways to access our environments, but this one is the easiest to show it right now during this live presentation. We have different approaches on the one side to these HTML5 access I would like to show you right now, but also an RDP access via Microsoft RDP, or the preferred version is a tailor-made TS Plus RDP client. Let me just, so when you will also get a specific access to our demo environment, or when you are afterwards our customer, you will also get a login link. Here it is canada-demo.cloudiax.com. We have generic user types, so nobody would know if, so you would get a quickly numerical code for your company, and then each customer would get a specific customer, or each user would get a specific user number. So it's also not so easy to find out this number as a third external party. Let me just show you the login. So it's pretty easy. The only thing is we need the password, and I hope I was able to copy it correctly. Oh, I'm sorry for that. Give me a second try. Okay. So after typing in the password correctly, you will easily be able to log into SAP Business One. So just to give you a quick look and feel impression, this is also the same environment. You can use it as a demo access. The important thing is that this is a general demo environment where all types of prospects have access to. So please do not type in there any personal or specific company data. let's give it just a second to load. I'm currently accessing the environment here from Germany, and I'm just sharing it with you in the US or in Canada. So you just choose the company. We have in some 3 databases. So also if you're, for example, Spanish speaking, we also have a Spanish database. If somebody of you is by chance German speaking, then we have also a German database. Let us quickly log in. Some of you may know already SAP Business One. This is on the HANA platform, on the latest release, or one of the latest releases, and then you can just start getting a hands-on version. You can just, for example, you can just set up a sales order or set up a sales quotation just to get a quick and look and feel about using it in the cloud. So I would just like to show you also how to log out, and then I would like to hand over to Neil and Aman for the handover session. So it's getting in is as easy as getting out, logging off, and let me now hand over the panel back to Neil and Aman, please.
Awesome. So Aman, I'll hand it over to you just quickly to go through the Q&A sessions. I think there are a few questions already in the chat, so we'll kind of go through that as well.
Sounds great. So the first question we have here is, hello, how is the intercompany add-on is handled in this Cloudiax, as SAP stopped the support for this add-on since January 2023?
Sorry, you want me, or Danny, you want to take that?
Let me just take it from an infrastructural side, and afterwards you can just share your experiences from the one who's really setting it up. Yep. So we have a very broad platform approach, so we can also deploy additional service to install intercompany on it. So for us, this is no issue. But at the end of the day, you know that you need to rely on a partner who really knows how to set it up, and that's where Neil and his team are joining the game.
For sure. And obviously, we know that there's some organizations and some customers that are running the intercompany add-on that has been discontinued. I know, obviously, we also at Aclaros offer intercompany automation solution, which you can find on our website, and that's really using B1IF across the different databases. So we can take that offline, and we can get the consultants involved as well, just to kind of discuss kind of whether it's the transition off of that or the continued support and so forth. But we'll take that back and can certainly follow up with you. I believe Riaz. So we'll circle back with you on that.
Perfect. Thank you. And then the second question we had here is, we are located in the US. What are the pros and cons with respect to using Cloudiax in Canada? How would the legal environment work when you have a US company and Canadian entity? Example, the event of a dispute.
Yeah.
Neil, would you like to start, because you are more
for sure. Yeah,
you are closer to the customer and their contract.
No, for sure. So initially, in terms of just the legal aspect of it, there are certain companies that work with government agencies and regulatory reasons why they need to be hosted within a certain jurisdiction, whether it's just Canada, just US. So for those specific situations, it may be very specific to where you need to be hosted and whether there is an option within Cloudiax or if it may not be an option at this current time. Now, when it comes to other organizations, we work with many companies across the border. Really, when it comes to the highest level of data privacy and Cloudiax adheres to the highest standards there. So we can talk through that and just kind of look at your specific requirements and whether it really whether it actually matters or not where you're hosted. Even if you're hosted in various other clouds, oftentimes they may be switching from one location to the next. So you just have to understand the dynamic there. Daniel, do you want to add anything further?
Yeah, please. So as Neil already mentioned, not only Aclaris has an extraordinary history, also Cloudiax has an extraordinary history, and we also have a combined extraordinary history on our partnership. So we are able to serve customers in Canada and the US already since years together. So there are no limitations from our end, from a technical perspective. And as Neil already mentioned, let me just give you an insight. We just evaluated different options, and we came to the conclusion that the best one for us is, as we started initially with a German data center, is to use an Equinix site near Toronto, because we don't want to use a hyperscaler as an infrastructure or as a host, as the place where we host our service on our own, because we also want to keep hands on the data and do not want to get any of these third parties involved. So that's the reason why we went to Canada. And also the important thing is that, as Neil already said, we're complying with the highest data protection standards in the world, and therefore you won't only get a German-based software, which stands for quality made in Germany, but also for cloud services made in Germany. And they are famous all over the world, our cloud services, as well as German cars.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we've just had another question come in on what are the banking integration options for Canada? We want to have our business accounts synced to our books instead of downloading Excels.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously this is certainly a functional consulting type of question, but in regards to, integrating for EFTs and that sort of thing, obviously we do that with many different banks all across the board, and they have specific kind of templates that, we basically have the output, and then it has to be, uploaded or to the bank. When it comes to consolidations and what have you, banking consolidations or reconciliations, again, we can put you in touch if you can just drop a note. I believe it's, it's coming through as anonymous. So just please reach out to me directly, and I'll certainly put you in touch with one of our finance functional consultants, and we can talk through that process further.
Perfect. Thank you. So those were all of the questions that were in the Q&A. So if anybody does have any other follow-up questions for any of the panelists or myself, please feel free to unmute yourself, and happy to address those as well for you.
Let's see are they able to unmute themselves? Well, if you can't, certainly just raise your hand, and then we can unmute you if you do have questions. Right.
Don't seem to see any at this point, Neil. So I will hand the floor back over to you to kind of close things off.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to thank everyone for taking time once again. We will have a recording of the session available, so we will certainly be able to provide that to you so you can share it with your team and anyone else that may have registered and wasn't able to attend, unfortunately. If you have any specific questions about anything that was discussed here today, feel free to reach out to myself or Daniel Mittman as well. And the one thing to note is, when it comes to Cloudiax and hosting B1 on Cloudiax, Cloudiax is in charge and responsible for all of the infrastructure, and they have a 24 by 7 emergency hotline that if anything on the infrastructure goes down, that's an immediate response. But anything else when it comes to application support, Business One, or anything in between, obviously Aclaris will be your first point of contact. We will make sure that we can understand where the problem could potentially be and escalate it as necessary, whether it be with SAP or Cloudiax. So just understanding that. Once again, thank you so much for all your time, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you
very
everyone.
much also from my side.
Bye now.
Have a great day.
Take care.